I'll put a little intro music at the beginning here. Hopefully this doesn't blast you. Go. Hello, welcome to Dailyish for Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, in the final days, the final throes of 2017. And I don't know what the weather is outside here. What's the weather in Austin, Dave?
Miserable out here. Chris, thanks for bringing me on the show. It is a misty, wintry mix, I believe, is kind of what we're getting into. But it's also 60 degrees, so it's a hot, wintry mix.
Hot wintry mix, and it's minus 12, feels like minus 18 Celsius here. So I don't know, I forget how that goes to the Fs, but it's cold anyways. So
double it and add 32.
That's
the metric conversion.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I've brought my friend Dave, who's also a client, on to the podcast today to talk about a little game that we are both not addicted to, but just have a good time playing on the computers and Xboxes and stuff, called Overwatch. And so we're going to do that for the episode, and hopefully it's of enjoyment to you, even if you don't partake in the Overwatch experiment. We're also streaming this live on the old Twitch channel, our Good Stuff Twitch channel, twitch.tv/goodstuff_FM. I'm going to liberally use audio from Dave because I edit his podcast, Shop Talk Show, a lot, and so I hear a lot of Dave's voice, but I don't get to actually talk to him and have him answer me back. I mean, I talk to him when I'm editing, but he doesn't answer back usually.
I think you have enough clips to procedurally generate a show without me, and I'm looking forward to that day.
Tons of ideas. I got tens of books, binders full of books.
Yeah, there's a whole screen I'm looking at of Dave. The problem is when I name the files for the media, like it's just a folder, they all say Dave dash and then starting of something, but I have no idea what they actually say. So here's Dave thick.
I think it's a very thick stack.
So there you go.
Yep.
And one more here we'll go to before we get into the important parts. Dave dash fart, I'm sure it's.
Oh, I could fart out a book in a month or a couple weekends. Let's get some Red Bull.
So there you go.
That's my general approach to book writing.
You
could honestly, that's 80% of the shop talk is me talking about a book I have never written. So there you go.
That's a lot of words.
There we go. Even got a guest appearance from Chris Coyer, Mr. Chris Coyer. So I think between the two of you, I could probably sub if you guys were both out for a week or whatever. We could probably put together some sort of, I don't know how you do that in machine learning or something, I guess. You feed it into the computer and it spits out a podcast. That's how it works.
It's like a DJ thing. You just put together a show with these audio clips. A 2-minute show.
So in brief, I guess, maybe we'll see here in brief, but like Overwatch is a game where it's at its core is just like a run around, shoot each other, kill them first before they kill you game that's been around since Doom days or whatever, except obviously it's multiplayer with the internet connections and everybody sitting at home in their basement running around killing each other. And what, I don't know for you, but for me, Overwatch, I hadn't played a lot of those kind of games in a while, but Overwatch drew me back into that style of game initially on the Xbox, and then I bought it on the PC as well. But it drew me in because I think it's cartoony. It's not like graphic violence, which I don't have a problem playing those kind of games, but it is just like less heavy, I guess, because of that. And the gameplay is surprisingly fun and varied enough between each character that it feels like each game is new and different, and the mix of people that are in the game, the characters that themselves, whether they're whoever you're playing against, but the characters themselves are different enough to keep it interesting. But what for you drew you into Overwatch?
Yeah, so Overwatch, 6v6 shoot 'em up. For me it is kind of what you said. I actually had some friends, my friend Jan and Zach. They both were playing the game, and I was like, well, shoot, I'm building a PC, so we're going to play this game together, and started playing it once I built my PC. And I liked it. I was playing a lot of Titanfall and Titanfall 2 at the time, or that was kind of my game of choice, which I still really like. But when I cracked open Overwatch for the first time and I was just running, I was like, oh, these people like run as fast as like I do, like the motion felt right. And I think what what I like about the game, especially compared to like Titanfall or Call of Duties or all that stuff, is that kind of cartooniness. I think it's a bunch of superheroes shooting each other. It's not like army dudes being army mans and super tough macho mans. It's like kind of these superheroes with super abilities that kind of counter each other, and that's what I really liked. And later, picked up another guy from Twitter named Juan, and so it's me, Jan, Juan, and Dave, and we all get together. And Zach, but Zach's kind of actually cycled out. He kind of had a breakup with Overwatch moment, which is totally fine. But I play with Jan, Juan, and me, and we kind of shoot around, and you've joined us too, Chris. But
Yeah.
but like most nights, it's just like we find each other, and we're just like, okay, let's shoot teenagers. No, not literally,
Not
but just on
literally,
the internet. Yeah.
Which that's what it brings up a point that for me, I was playing the game on the Xbox and I don't have like a little headset or whatever on the Xbox, so I didn't hear anything that was going on. I didn't know how mad people were at me for not knowing that Junkrat should be doing a whatever it's called role versus the other characters is doing a different kind of role. And so then when I switched to the PC, and then you invited me to play, and then you were actually so I guess you're the gateway to the evil side of the internet for me within Overwatch.
Dear, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're the reason I had to get headphones anyways, because which it's fun. Like the voice chat is fun, and it's a great way to like be able to play with someone But then you do get paired up with randoms, and particularly in either the like competitive gameplay, but even at various levels, you can turn the voice chat on, and sort of hear some of that. Which is why. That's why I wanted to talk with someone like you, who's a little further ahead along in the game, knows some of the stuff, and I should mention, actually, I forgot to mention at the top of the show that right now for Christmas, anyways, or holidays, they've got Overwatch on for like 50% off. So on the various platforms, I think, so you can pick it up for pretty cheap, and then there's no monthly subscription or anything like that, other than I guess on Xbox you pay for Xbox Live, but. And it's only multiplayer, so you kind of have to have an internet connection, obviously, to play it. But you can pick it up on the cheap right now if you want and join the game there. But so it was hearing, I guess, what other people were shouting at me in various ways that made me think I need to sort of level up here, or else I'm going to be very embarrassed playing against some of these 16-year-olds. I have no problem getting killed by a 16-year-old Overwatch player who's amazing and spends every day of his life playing it. It's just when they're shouting at me and making me feel bad in my 40-year-old body while I'm just trying to get a little bit of a break from building websites and taking care of my kids. That's where I want to have at least be able to shout back at them, maybe. I don't know.
I have shouted back, and I've gone full dad on these people before, which is pretty awesome.
Nice.
I ripped into a kid. I was just like, you need to take a nap. You sound like a effing 3-year-old right now. It wasn't healthy.
Yeah, Overwatch therapy.
But no, it's it's interesting when you play a game online, and there's a lot on the internet you can read and stuff about toxicity and this idea that in the video games is actually awesome. Like there's a whole jargon that goes with it. Like being salty is when you're, and that's in sports and stuff too. But it's just basically you're like, you're just mad. You're just angry at everything. So like people are like get salty and then they get toxic, which is like they're blaming their own team and they're kind of like cussing and throwing. And throwing is this thing like you're playing but you're like not even trying to play. There's other things you can do like griefing, like you get like in the game you can like set up a teleporter, so people are like, oh sweet teleporter, I'm gonna run through it, and the teleporter just leads to like a cliff, and you just basically like actively like ruin your team, or like you're kind of like, I don't know, there's bad teamwork, like somebody picks a character, and this is a lot of accusatory stuff, but you like pick a character and then it's bad for the game, and you never, like, it's bad for I'm getting so deep here because I have so many thoughts, but it's bad for the team comp. And this is kind of a thing that Overwatch, if you ever play it, you jump in, you have to learn is team comps. And that's basically like how, you have 6 players, 6 versus 6, like how do these 6 players beat these 6 players? And at the first start is, most shoot 'em ups are like a game of skill. Like, I'm just gonna set my sights and shoot this person better. But the Overwatch is that, but the first part of Overwatch is almost like a chess game. It's like, do the characters I on my team, the 6 superheroes, beat these six superheroes, or do they match them? Can we change things up and counter? And once you have that figured out, then, and hopefully the other team doesn't change, but once you have that figured out, then it's a game of skill. Like, can I shoot better than they can shoot? And maybe you have like, a god player that's just could kill everything, like one, is a super shooter or something like that. But most people aren't, or the game doesn't let you be. But I think, like, once you kind of learn how to make teams and build teams, like, that's kind of the first part of Overwatch that you don't understand when you get into it, because you're just like, oh, shooter, I know how to play shooters. I just hit the forward button and the gun button, and I just play until I die, and that's not how it really works. Like when you get into the comp element, the competitive element, you really, it's like, does, if one person on your team isn't holding their weight or isn't playing their role, and that's another, like, Overwatchism that comes up, but like, if one person isn't playing their role, you really don't get like you don't, I don't know, you like, you're at an unfair advantage. It's almost better if they weren't in there, because like, that sounds terrible, but it's like, like, there's this thing of in Overwatch of this the ultimate economy, basically, is what it's called. And if I shoot you 100 times and you block all those shots, and then you take hits, but then you get healed, I have fed your ultimate. And so next time you and I fight, Chris, you're going to be super beefed up and just, use your ultimate ability, which is some like magical power that you have, or in the case of Junkrat, our favorite hero, it's this tire wheel that drives around and explodes. It's like a mobile IED. And it's like, so that you're going to kill me the next time because you have this like super ability, because I wasn't, anyway. But all that said, like, it's a very interesting game. Like on the first, like, it's a nice shoot 'em up, and it's almost like a RPG. Like, your players like build up these ultimate abilities, these powers, and then they can use these spells basically. And I like that. I like that more than I played other shooters, and it ends up being about the loadout. It ends up being like, oh, you can use the shotgun, but you have a laser sight on the shotgun, and the shotgun has these bullets, and then it's like, I'm a 37-year-old man. I don't have time to like micromanage my gun. I do micromanaging for work all day, so I don't need to like a whole a video game that is micromanaging. I have enough of that. What I like about Overwatch is it's like, I choose one of the 25 characters, which is a lot, but 25 presets, and that I enjoy, and then there's only 3 or 4 buttons. It's like drive around, the E key, the shift key, and the Q key, and that's all I need to know to play the game, and maybe 2 mouse buttons. But like, it's like 5 buttons, all I need to know, done. So.
Yeah. Well, and the ultimate thing is actually one of the things that I know it's probably somewhere in a manual somewhere, obviously, or wherever, but like you get sort of charged up, like you were saying, and the result of that, or how you get charged up, is based on how long you've been alive and how much damage you've sustained, or what?
Yeah, it's like damage given, and then like damage given, but then there's also like, well, I guess the example I gave was bad. Like, if you took damage and then your healer healed you, like, that's actually, you're going to be alive longer, so your ult's going to be a lot higher, but the healer's ult, because they just filled you up, is going to go up. And then next time you fight and the healer has like a superpower, like resurrect, or like, I'm trying to think, anyway, like ultimate healing abilities, like, now, like, your whole team is at a disadvantage because one guy was just trying to be a hero and not working together. You kind of, like, the most ideal situation in Overwatch is you jump onto the point or crawl in, and you kill everybody at once. It's not this like we're gonna take them out one at a time and be really methodical. It's like jump in, carnage, win.
Right.
Um,
And the point being what? Because I've heard that shouted at
okay,
me,
yeah.
like, get on the point, and I'm like, I think I know what I'm doing there, but what is that?
Okay, yeah. So I didn't realize there's so much jargon here. So
That's
please,
what I'm getting. Yeah.
ask me. Yeah. So in Overwatch, so there's 3 or 4 different maps, right? There's a 2 capture point map, which is kind of like, if you think of it, kind of like your team has to go get a control point, which is like with a red ring. It's got a red ring around it. You have to go get it from the enemy. And you go to that point, and then you have to go get another one. So that's like, there's levels like Anubis, Hanamura, the Horizon Lunar Colony. These are all 2CP maps. The other one are assault maps, which I think, if I'm, it's like basically King of the Hill. Like there's one point
Right.
in the middle, and it's usually equidistant from 2 spawn points, and you have to go to the middle and fight and control. And that's maybe just called control. I don't know. I'm blanking on the actual names. There's escort, which is like you walk out and there's a little car there out in front of you, and this is like El Dorado, and you have to walk the car to a few checkpoints. And on those maps, the car is the point, because if you leave the point, you lose. Like it stops moving. So somebody has to be on the point to make it move. And if an enemy gets there, it's contested and it stops moving. So then the goal is to get the enemies off the point.
Which that's
And
one
then-
in terms of I'll just interrupt you. The Overwatch sort of like mechanics that's different than a lot of other games. Maybe it's in other games too. I just haven't played a lot of them, but at least intrigued me about. I played Capture the Flag video games, and I've played variations, but that the sort of moving escort mission is really cool and fun, and but it does take you you have to realize what actually is happening, because normally in those games those things don't move. Like the car isn't actually going to follow along on the track or whatever. It's just going to sit there. And so, it was just like realizing that, actually we're going to collectively push this thing along almost, and guard it as it goes or whatever from enemy attack and things like that. And the longer you have it, the further you get it through each checkpoint, the more points your team has, and the round you can hopefully win that round or whatever. So, that was one of the things that kind of intrigued me and attracted me to Overwatch as well along the way. So. I think I interrupted you on the last.
No, I think the last one is a hybrid map, which is basically you go and you have to capture the vehicle and then you escort the vehicle. So it's like you have to go beat everybody, get the point, and then you escort the point. That would be like Numbani is kind of the classic version of that. So
Right.
I can't even imagine. I know the levels. Oh, I guess in Eichenwald would be the other one. So, and that's
Right.
usually in those escort ones, in the hybrid ones, you actually go through, you get the first one, and then there's 2 checkpoints, or there's a middle point, and then there's an end point. So it's pretty cool. And I think that's what's interesting, the variety there. Even though you're playing the same maps, the same 10 maps, over and over and over and over, you're playing it against different characters. You're playing it against different teams with different players too, and there's just enough variety that it makes it kind of interesting. And then there's also, I'm more terms, but there's also different game modes. There's an arcade, which is basically they just, Overwatch has different kinds of modes you can play in. Mayhem is everyone is 200% speed and 500% damage and stuff like that, or whatever. And then there's mystery heroes, which is you jump in and you don't know what hero you pick, a hero, but you're not that hero ever. You're just randomly assigned. There's they added a new deathmatch feature, which I think people are asking for, just because it's fun to play with people, but it's not always fun to play with people, especially if you're really tired of it. So sometimes you just want to go and murder, and that's what the death match is. It's just basically 8-player deathmatch, so sort of like Quake or something like that.
Yeah, more your traditional shoot 'em up game or whatever, but gives you that, yeah, without having to worry about the what you were calling the team comp or whatever, where it's like how you make up your team affects how well your team might do and stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that. And it's kind of nice because you just either get killed a lot because you don't know what you're doing, but at least you get to run around as the character that it doesn't matter what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, and it's so wild. Like what I've noticed, and this is so I'm in the competitive, and there's this.
Oh, pause for a second. Reconnecting. I don't know if that's my internet. Looks like the stream is still alive. Dave is frozen. Let's fill in the blanks. Let's see.
What does a website know about me? And why do naked ladies follow me around on the internet?
Yeah. I don't know where it's going. I think he shut down Slack too, so. Chris popped his ult and froze Dave. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see Twitch is still working. Boop, 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 boop. All right, where's my slow jam? Need my technical difficulties. Oh, completely gone. There we go. Get some text in here. Text. Oh, that doesn't stay on the screen. I like the Nightbot thanking for title suggestion. That's good. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. There is somebody, a Twitch developer, who's going to be... Oh. He says he's still there, but it's waiting for partner. Oh, Mimo. Sometimes you work so well, and sometimes you don't. Kyle, I also found out from the Mimo folks there's actually a reset the Mimo call ID link. Sorry, I was going to say a Twitch developer on that Twitch forum, developer forum thing guy was like, hey, I'd really love to build that idea out, and I think it shouldn't be too hard or whatever, and as far as the voting mechanism. So to touch base with him and see. Yeah, I think it would kick them out of the call and then give us a brand new one that wasn't on screen anywhere. So it could work. But obviously, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting less and less excited with the way Mimo seems to crash calls. We'll be doing one more call test with the U2 one tomorrow night. And I'd love to try Discord as well, but it doesn't want to. Doesn't seem to want to work for me, obviously. But I'm not sure because I've had issues with Dave connecting before when we tried it out. I was going to show it to him and it just like crashed horribly. So I don't know if there's some weird thing going on there too. But I mean, he does. I think it's Skype they use or some Zoom call or whatever. So he definitely can make it all work. Appear in. Is that one browser based or is it? Like you're using that with Kenny now? You switch.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Let's turn off the video test. All right. What happened? I don't know what happened.
I have no idea what happened there. That was unexpected.
What's the Y coordinates? Is it? Oh, that's bottom. What do you?
There's a video flip feature. I don't know what this does.
All right. I don't know what happened there. I think it's because you're a web developer. I think that's the problem. I don't know what that means, but
I don't doubt it.
it's yeah, some sort of crazy thing going on there. Okay, where were we in the discussion? I don't know. I'm hearing an echo coming back from you now. Hello, is there audio?
Uh-oh. Hello, 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 hello.
Just when I'm talking, I can then hear a slight delay, but maybe it's just. No, we're good. Okay. Oh, yeah, there now. I heard it again. Maybe it's just the bleed. So Kyle, my buddy here at Good Stuff, wanted to ask me and asked you collectively, what a good character is to choose for folks coming over from other traditional first-person shooters like Unreal Tournament or Battlefield, Deathmatch, Capture the Flag kind of games, and how long does one stick with it before knowing it's a bad fit? They have from time to time. Overwatch has play free weekends, and so you can try it out, which is a great way, obviously, to try something like this out. I have a hard time thinking you'll be that disappointed with the game if you like first-person shooters, but I know for Kyle, he had tried it and just like I think that idea of like your analysis paralysis type of feeling of like whatever way you want to, which character do I pick, which one do I go with, how do I know what and I feel like an idiot because I'm failing everybody on my team and then letting them all down, whether I can hear them shouting at me or not, I can just sense it. So for him, it was the training mission, and about 2 minutes in, that he decided it wasn't for him. But what any advice for the noobs, real noobs of Overwatch?
Yeah, I mean, so you show up and you're picking your characters, and there's like a row of 24 characters, or 26 maybe now, 25 or 6. And it can be overwhelming for sure. I think like they break them up. Overwatch Blizzard breaks it up into 4 different categories. There's attack, defense, tank, and support, or offense, defense, tank, and support. And the way you can think of about that is from left to right. It's like you go from a more attack role to a more help role, if that makes sense, from left to right. Um, and for me, it was like, if you're coming from a shooter like realm, like from Battlefield or whatever, probably want to be in that attack role, like you want to be kind of more offense. That's what you're pretty much used to. Soldier 76 is like the classic
Yeah, I was gonna say.
sort of FPS player. But if you played those games and you are always sniper, there's Widowmaker is kind of the choice there. But if you like, I don't know, if you're feeling more experimental, there's classic characters like Tracer, who is basically a speedster. It's the Flash meets guns, basically the Flash with guns. So you can basically just like go real fast, zip in, shoot people, zip out, and just be like, what? I was never there. You saw a blur and you got killed by a blur. So, and maybe Tracer's role is less actually like doing murders, but it's like going in and just being annoying. Like, and that's the thing too, is you just pick a character and then over time figure out what that character is good at. And there's all these, like, there's a bunch of YouTubes like for each character, like how to play this character at this level of play. And I think like you should definitely like watch YouTubes and learn how to do it. I like the defense players. This is like Bastion is one that a lot of people play. He's basically like a Gatling gun on legs, and so he walks around, parks, turns into a Gatling gun, and just mows people down. This is a pretty good character, especially in the beginning, because like you just sit on the point or on the cart and just shoot people, and hopefully you're behind a shield, and that's the next level, kind of getting into helping people. The tanks are kind of like bullet sponges. They just basically like stand there, take damage, or they have a shield or whatever. They're just like beefcakes that just like get hit, and you just you kind of absorb hits for your team, or not too many because you'll fall over and die, but like you basically just kind of like look threatening and get in people's way. And that's kind of and then all these smaller characters, squishies we call them, all the squishies just go around and do murders. And in that defense, I forgot to mention our favorite Junkrat. Junkrat is basically a grenade launcher. If I don't know, I played a lot of GoldenEye 64 in college a long time ago. And I loved rocket launchers. That was like my thing, or grenade launchers. I think there's even a grenade launcher, but like, so I just love this character, and he has like mines and blows things up. So pretty easy, accessible character to get into. There's Torbjorn. He sets up turrets. That's again on the defense. Okay, so into tanks, there's like 5 tanks to choose from. Reinhardt is basically your classic tank. He has a gigantic shield. He just stands there and like takes damage, and then he has a hammer, so when squishies come up to you, you just swing the hammer and take them out in one shot.
Yeah.
Then there's
the
support.
Yeah.
Support's the last one, and these are people who heal you or like kind of patch you up or whatever. And there's quite a few different supports, and they all kind of do different things. But Mercy is the classic support. She has a little staff that just you point it at people and hit the click button, and she heals you up. And the other button powers you up, powers people up, and that's and then there's Lucio. He's like a fast speedster on rollerblades, and he can like climb walls and stuff, and he has a cannon, like a sound cannon that boops people, so he can actually heal or speed people up. And most of these healers kind of have this dynamic. They can like either heal and do something or whatever. So
which gets into where it's confusing, like your first time playing, and you grab like Mercy or Lucio even, and you're like, I'm shooting. Why is nobody dying? I'm shooting right at them, and actually what you're doing is trying to heal the other team, which luckily you can't do. But that's where that issue comes in. And I think, like you said, the attack character is your traditional, like Soldier 76 is in the offensive characters is the easiest one to wrap your head around in the what are they called again? The tank? No, the support. No, I always mix up all the terminology when I'm trying to like chat with somebody on whatever, and then like I throw out the wrong word right away, just like I just did. But not the tanks, not the support, but the chess person.
Offense.
Offense, and then defense. That's what I'm trying to think of. That's the opposite
Yeah.
of offense, right? The Widowmaker, like you said, I think is probably a great character to start with if you're used to sniping and stuff, because it's a simple mechanic. There's advanced stuff she can do, but it's just like shoot, zoom in and shoot, and move around and stay at a distance kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and she has a grappling hook, and like that's for traversing. So like that's kind of the other part is like you're like, and they do a pretty good job balancing players. It's like you have a gun and it shoots, and then you have like, but really good shooters aren't gonna have really great movement. Like they're gonna kind of move kind of slow, and then they don't go across the map that fast. So it's just a cool balance, and you really got to like just kind of get in there and try people out and just see what looks interesting to you. I mean, I think like if you play matches, just pick a character. It doesn't matter, and then but try to like observe what the other characters are doing. Like and it'll be kind of interesting. And just try to memorize what all their powers are.
Yeah, that's where the Mystery Heroes one is fun, because each time you start a new match or game or whatever, everybody's just assigned a random person, so you don't get to pick your favorite guy. Nobody's getting to pick their favorite character. And I feel like anyways there's like a bit of a get out of jail free card in terms of a pass on if you get some character that nobody, like even the best whatever Soldier 76 player in the world is probably terrible at Bastion or one of the other characters. And so in Mystery Heroes, it kind of just scrambles it all up, and nobody gets to just play as their favorite, and you're all kind of like learning something new each time potentially. On the computer, I think it's F1, and I know there's a key on the Xbox, and I'm sure PlayStation as well, where you can hit that key and it'll give you a quick summary of what their special abilities are or their abilities are, what key is to actually hit it, and then you can sort of find out pretty quickly. And nobody is really like, as much as it feels like they're watching, if you're not in the competitive ladder play, nobody's really watching you that closely if you're just like paused and looking at the screen, hitting your buttons, trying to figure something out. And there's no huge penalty either to losing a match or two. Like, it's not like you lose. The characters themselves don't level up, I guess, in terms of that.
Yeah, it's not like Destiny or something where like you're investing all this time into a character. I had a friend asking me about that this week. He's like, I don't know if I have time to like invest a bunch, and I'm like, dude, you don't. You can change mid game, and if you want, like it's not like you're committed to this thing, or like you didn't like configure this guy perfectly and then it doesn't work out. It's like you just switch whenever you want. Like you could throw yourself off a cliff and get a new character. That's how they do it in the pros. Actually, they're just like, it's not working out. Bye. So.
And like what you said about, say, Lucio with his boop gun or whatever, there's all sorts of like fun, interesting plays and ways to use the characters like that you don't really realize at first, but then you do play with somebody who's maybe a level or 10 up above you, and all of a sudden you see them do something, you're like, oh wow, I got to remember to do that, because like Roadhog is one of the tank characters that has like a chain that he throws out and then pulls people in towards him or towards like a kill zone basically, right?
Yeah.
And people use that in creative ways to like grapple someone across a chasm or whatever and pull them off, and then you die. But he's the only character that can do something like that, and so it's not like everybody can just run around and grab people and throw them off. You have to know how to use the character to do some of those special moves like that, and it kind of gives you a real like buzz of satisfaction, I guess, or video game buzz anyways, when you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's like learning your character and like getting good at it. I remember like a few aha moments with Junkrat or whatever. He's a great character, but it was like, oh, he doesn't have to like be close to stuff, like because his damage actually goes pretty far. So like, and he's safer back there. But when I do go up into people's faces and like I can just cause carnage, and like I realize like his role is just to make you unhappy, like just to disrupt people, take somebody out, like cause massive damage. Like he's just like I don't know, like an anarchy agent, And so like once I realized that, I was like, oh, I'm actually having a lot more fun here because I know what this character is good at, And I was playing the other night, and we actually figured out a strategy between us. I don't think it's like a pro strategy or anything like that. But my friend Jan was playing Symmetra. Symmetra sets up these laser turrets. Really, it's basically like you walk through it and you get zapped and slow down and you're stuck until you kill the turret. Um, Really annoying. But like when I was playing Orisa, which is like a she's a minotaur, like with a cannon, sure. But I was playing Marisa, and Arisa's really vulnerable when like somebody like Tracer or some speedster or some kind of character gets behind her, and just because she moves slow, she's a big minotaur, but so she gets just just murdered if somebody gets behind her, basically, and she can't react to that very well. But we were like, oh dude, if you set enough traps behind me, like, and I'm in kind of a tight space, then like I can act like those people will come in to think they're like clear to attack me, and then just get zapped, and then focus on the thing that's zapping them, and I can turn around and kill them. And so like we figured out like,
Yeah.
oh, like we have like a little bit of a strategy that we can do. So the first step is like figuring out your character, and then figuring out how your character and other characters can complement each other. And the most obvious one is like the ultimate like combination, like a double ultimate. Like you earn these ultimates every, I don't know, 90 seconds or something like that. You can expect to see like three or I don't know, two a match or something. Like let's say that's like the basic, and hopefully more, but like two a match. And so like if you save your ultimate for like when Zarya is kind of this big tank, Russian tank lady, but she can throw a gravitron. These words are stupid. Anyway, she can throw like a gravity ball, suck people in, and then if Junkrat throws his little tire bomb, or Hanzo throws these dragons, or Tracer has a pulse bomb thing. Like if you time those together, you can like wipe out the team. Like then you have like a free open like basic or like base, and then you just cap it, you win, and then you're just playing a little bit of defense to keep little stragglers on or off the point. Like so that's just
Yeah.
it. That's it. Like if you can like time those together, once you work like you figure out how to play your characters, and then you figure out how to play with other people, and that's kind of what Ultimate's all about, or sorry, Overwatch is all about, is just learning how to play with other people. And yeah, I don't know, it takes a while to get to that point, to like before you realize, oh, this is like not just me shooting and being the baddest mofo on the microphone. Because
Yeah.
ugh,
That's where
ugh.
even with that mode, like if you're using the voice chat or even texting or whatever in the game, the just like nobody knows really. There's a bit of an indicator how long you've played the game for in terms of your gamer score or whatever they call it inside Overwatch. I forget what it is, but like your rank. But even within that, you can just be like, oh, I'm just trying out Roadhog for the first time or whatever. Like it's just needed a new character, and nobody knows that you've actually played Roadhog for 50 hours, but you're just really awful. And so there's a bit of anonymity that way, and each time you join a new game, you're generally matched up with different characters. If you want to be, you can hit leave the game before it goes to the next auto matchmaking thing, and you'll get paired up with a completely different random group of people. So yeah, that's where it's. I don't know. I'm not like trying to be an Overwatch apologist or promotional team here, but it feels like a great mix of like deep strategy if you want it to be there, and also just like play for 20 minutes on a Friday night before bed because you just want to, like in Dave speak, murder a bunch of 16-year-olds. Literally. Not literally.
Maybe not murder. Maybe just yell at teenagers.
Right.
I like to just yell at teenagers. Yeah, no, it's a great game. I think like just find a game you like. Like my friend Zach, he was kind of like, the payoff here is not great because the way Overwatch is 25-30 million people play this game, so they match you up against people, right? And like in Blizzard's mind, an ideal match is like a 50-50 win rate, and like you win 50 matches and you lose 50 matches. And for some people and this is how I feel sometimes too, is like this albatross feel, like you're not progressing in the game because you're like just dying, and that's a fair criticism. Like, you're never getting better because there's probably always somebody better. And then, like, in Blizzard's like, oh, I used my algorithm to like make your life worse, and like intentionally. And so like,
It's Facebook all over again.
like, yeah, so like I understand the albatross like argument, and I agree with that, but I also like, if it's about like learning to play as a team, I think that's cool, but even then it's like the algorithm's against you. It's always against you. So.
Yeah, I think the best advice there is check out the YouTube videos, learn how to play at one character really well, and you'll have a lot of fun. Like, sample them all at the beginning and try, and then pick one or two to sort of specialize in for a while, and then you'll be sort of off to the races in terms of figuring out how to play that one character. Because there's nothing wrong with continually, like I see people all the time whenever I join a game, your pick the character screen comes up and someone grabs a character right away because that's the only person they play. And even like a really good player will just keep doing that over and over because that's the only one they know how to play. And sometimes it's like annoying if you're constantly matched up with that one person, they're Junkrat and you want to be Junkrat or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with doing that in the games where you just like, I'm going to try one character and really get good at them. So before I let you go, Dave,
try to do that in quick play, not in comp. That's usually
right.
A
comp being
polite thing to do.
Competitive ladder play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, like, experiment with players. There's AI matches. Like, you go to training mode and play AI, and that's a great way too. Like, you actually join a team of humans, but like, just go fight AI, and just like that way, like, you just see if like, you actually understand the mechanics of a character. You can, and then I will say this, like, I'm not an advertisement or anything, but the Overwatch League just started, overwatchleague.com, and it's basically the global Overwatch tournament, Major League Gaming, like, put on by Blizzard. They actually bought Major League Gaming to like make
Just
it official, just because they have buckets, treasure chests full of cash. But this is also a great way to like see pros play it at a high level, and like, there's commentary to explain it and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it. I really like it. I pick up stuff every time I like watch a game, and it's gonna start like January 10th, I think, is when it restarts. So like, get in it. Learn. There's Canadians that play, Chris. You'd probably enjoy it. So.
Yeah, Team Canada was in the Overwatch World Cup Finals or whatever it's called.
Oh,
I think they lost to the Koreans, but.
Yeah. So yeah, well, there's games happening all the time. There's YouTube things. It's like an online sport. Just so anyway.
Yeah. Which exactly, just like any other sport. If you want to get good at it, you watch the pros, and then you sort of practice and try to emulate the pros, and then hopefully we can all get money. Get paid playing video games someday is the dream, right?
One day,
yeah. Okay, I'm going to throw a bunch of terms at you, so that people can be like, at least level up their chat ability when they're playing Overwatch and some 16-year-old is shouting at them. So you said team comp already, to the sort of team composition, the various characters to use. So if someone's shouting you saying, use this character because whatever, that's sort of what they're referring to. What's DPS is another term I heard thrown about.
Damage per second. That means your player is built to do damage. And in some teams, there's another term I'm going to throw, a 2-2-2, okay? Which is, you on your team you have 2 healers, 2 tanks, and 2 DPS. So if you're like going into a queue, and this is kind of the most basic team composition, like that's kind of the default where you want to start, and like mix and match until you feel something better. But you have 2 healers, 2 tanks, and then 2 DPS, which could be any character at this point, but like, even if they're not like an official DPS, like they're occupying that role, apparently they're a DPS, So you kind of have to like break out of the 4 categories and use these kind of roles. And so if you're building a team and you see like two tanks get picked and 2 other characters get, like 2 non-healers get picked, you should probably choose a healer. So
right. And it'll actually, the team makeup thing will warn you like there's no healers or too many whatevers. Right? So you kind of get a guide.
That's
anyways.
actually a pretty good like rule of thumb. Like, it's like, no healers, hey guys, no healers. You need a healer. So,
Right.
yeah.
I think we covered tanks, support, etc. A boop we covered.
Boop is you push
Lucio?
somebody off a map with a concussive force.
Right.
Like Lucio has a boop. Diva can boop with when she runs into people, and Farah can boop with her concussion blast.
And it's okay. For me, boop just makes me giggle. So if it makes you giggle
Yeah.
every time someone says boop, then by all means. Cooldown.
Cooldown. If you use an ability like one of your special keys, your ultimate or your E key or your shift key, which is just kind of your secondary abilities, there's a cooldown, and usually it's in the 6-second neighborhood, but it can be up to like 20 seconds. But it's basically the power has to build back up before you can use it again. So
Right.
learning how to pay attention to that and time that with your character so you can consistently throw those, and that's really helpful.
Yeah, and I will say if you're playing as Junkrat and you shoot off the tire, his ultimate, and you end up driving off the cliff or you blow it up and don't actually hit anybody, there's no shame in that. It happens to the best of us. So many times for some of us.
Lots of people do this.
Yeah. Just don't do it when you're playing with Dave and Juan. Choke point.
That's where the map you're driving, like if you're like walking through it, it gets narrow, and if you could think of it like I don't know, like the waist on a dress or something like that. Like it's basically things get narrow, so that means the enemy can focus their fire, and you have to like walk through this small like point in the map, and usually those are like bridges or gates or something like that. You have to like enter through a smaller point, and there are ways usually around the choke, but usually it's like one way. There's usually like the choke, the big kind of door gate that you have to go through, and then like an auxiliary way through. But yeah, like it's difficult. So
Yeah.
most difficult part of the map.
And maining as a character, MAINING as a character. What is that?
Yeah. Main is your like who you're best at, what character you play the most, and for me it's Junkrat, but and there's a difference between maining and one tricking. One tricking means you can only play one character. You're not good at any other characters, more or less.
Right.
So.
It's sometimes thrown around in a derogatory way, like you're maining only as, I guess, which then it means more like one tricking, I guess. But payload.
Yeah, like
sorry, go ahead.
Hanzo main is a kind of Overwatch joke. Hanzo is a great character, but also a lot of bad Hanzos out there. So a lot of bad Hanzo mains. Anyway, go ahead.
Because they're like that means like Hanzo is a certain type of character, and people play his role poorly, right? Like sort of from a distance, shooting arrows into the battle. Kind of thing. Instead, they try and go right up front to the front lines or whatever.
Yeah, you'll experience it. You have to experience it.
Because that's the one that actually I forget who. I think I was playing as who's the guy with the double gun thing, death guy. Why can't I think of his name? Reaper. I was playing as Reaper in a map, and I was like, I thought I was doing good, and then all like three guys are like. The funny part of Overwatch voice chat is when they like talk about you as if you're not actually listening, even though they can very easily see that you are listening, and they're like, Reaper is just awful, and like Reaper is not doing whatever, and Reaper, why you should just stop playing Reaper, and like stuff like that. When you're like, I'm right here, guys. I can hear you. Just like, just tell me what
those
to do.
Turds. Report bad teamwork. That's unnecessary. That's the toxic behavior of Overwatch.
Yeah.
And I think any game has that, but it sucks.
Yeah. So, what about payload?
Payload is the point or the cart. Like that's like the thing you're on those escort and hybrid maps. Those things you're kind of like moving along. So that's the payload.
Gotcha. Someone's banging on my door here. Just one second. That's not part of Overwatch.
All right. Hey.
Delivery.
Christmas.
Payload, the point we covered. Ultimate we covered. Squishy you covered. Nerfed.
Nerfed. Okay, so there are two things that can happen to characters when Blizzard makes a patch and updates the game. A lot of times they'll either nerf or buff. These are all opposites. Nerf or buff a character. Nerf is when the like just I guess the abilities go down, and a buff is when the abilities go up. Whether that's like damage or healing or like
Right.
anything really. So.
And is there a term in game too where like if you get nerfed or not really?
You could that'd just be like you just got deaded or whatever, but like Diva's like big call is nerf this, but it's just her being a dumb gamer. So
Right. And push
Dumb
would be
gamer.
like push when you're like going for the win or something.
yeah. So push is like usually it's like push the cart or push the payload, and that's like you just get to it and make it move. There can also be like a just a whatever army strategy wise, like let's push from the left or something and like all go in at once, like and make the push. So there's kind of two terms, push, like poke and push. Poke is when you kind of like are at one of those choke points and you kind of like send somebody around to like draw fire and just kind of antagonize them. Like Junkrat's a good poker. Like just kind of get in there and boom, boom, boom. Like see if you can get a kill or something like that. And then if you get a kill, then you all push. Like that's kind of the strategy. Like you get a key kill or key uh like uh what do you
Knock off one of their characters.
yeah,
There's
a kill. Yeah, key. There's a word we use all the time, but like a frag. I don't know. You just get like a key kill, and you just like go forward. There's a term I'm forgetting, but
it'll come to you after we stop, I'm sure. The so scouting you kind of alluded to. Kill cam is I think I can handle this one where it's basically at the end of a game when you get killed, when you get nerfed, when you get key killed, whatever happens to you, you basically it shows you a replay of your death from the person who killed you's vantage point.
Yeah,
Right?
the kill feed. Yeah, it's just never fun to see. But what's nice there is if you can see if that player earned an ultimate or has an ultimate, and you can tell your team, hey, they have an ultimate. So.
Right, because it shows you their screen, their whatever, all their stats or whatever from their viewpoint exactly, and so you can very easily see that. And I hadn't thought of actually looking for that. I was just always the other side of it is you can also look and see how you died, so that you can know maybe how not to die next time if they caught you in a certain way or whatever. So.
Yeah, and you can disable that if you don't care. A lot of people don't care, but I like, yeah, I use it for exactly what you said, like just making sure I don't do that mistake again, or like see where I was vulnerable. But sometimes it's just like somebody no scoped me from like a million miles away, like, and
Right.
it's just like, well, I couldn't have fixed that. So
And then the one thing about joining a game I had written down was the skirmish mode, which is basically the kind of confusing, at least at first, is like you pick your character or you're trying to match up. It says you're going to skirmish mode. So you're like, okay, I'm joining the game. I got my character, join the game and start running around killing people. And all of a sudden people just start vanishing. And then eventually you vanish. And it's kind of like the rapture maybe or whatever. But like you basically kind of, that's just like a holding tank almost if you've played PUBG or other games where you're kind of like all waiting for the real game to start. It's a good place to practice random stuff, do stupid things. Some people don't actually shoot each other in the game. They just kind of meet in the middle and do their various character animations to make each other laugh.
that's ridiculous. You always win the skirmish. Always win the skirmish. Get the most kills. That's the most important thing. I practice characters. I like every time a new character is introduced, I go into skirmish mode and I make sure like I learn how to like use characters. Doomfist, Moira's a new one. But I also do a lot of Widowmaker because I'm not a sniper. I'm bad at sniping, but I've learned how to snipe in these skirmishes, and I've actually pulled her out like in comp games just to like get a couple key kills, and I'm not good at her, and I know that, but because I know I'm not a sniper at heart, but it's but it's like you can learn characters like if over enough time. And then some people disable it because you can get placed, if you disable skirmish, you can get placed in matches faster, so that's something to consider too.
Oh, really?
That's what they say, but
Not officially, but unofficially, kind of. Yeah.
I like the practice. I like a little bit of just gratuitous murdering before it gets serious.
Before the more refined murdering. It's like your
Yeah,
appetizer before the meal.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good place to try dumb stuff. Junkrat, it's like, can I jump over this building with my mines? Let's try. Like how
Right.
far can I jump? Stuff like that.
Which I was going to say before, there's no player damage. You can't kill your own team at all. So you can feel free to throw mines, throw bombs, throw weapons, whatever, in the general direction of your team, and you're not going to hurt them. And so, which is kind of a nice mechanic.
Shoot through your team if you can.
Yeah. And finally, GG in the chat. Sometimes you'll see it. You'll end the game and it'll say GG, and a whole bunch of people
Good
will type
game.
GG. Yeah. So
good game.
There's text chat and there's voice chat, and text chat is the easiest way. Just to, I think on the keyboard, on the computer, anyways, is hit the enter key and you're into chat, and you can type something and then hit enter again, and you're done. Right?
Yep.
I got that right. All right. I don't know if there's any other words of Overwatch wisdom for the folks.
There's probably a ton, but meta is one too. Meta is like all the characters that are popular right now, like in like the like of the 24 characters, which like 8 or so are meta, like which are like the pros pick these characters and stuff like that. And so there's actually websites that track this stuff too. There's one, it's called Omnic Meta. And it's like basically like a full on like tracker. So yeah. And there's the podcast associated with it called Omnic Lab Podcast, which I listen to, and they have a Discord, which is another like chat app, and you could join the Discord and meet cool people, chill people who like to level up their skills. So
nice.
Yeah.
The one bit of Overwatch funnies that I found this week, I think I was looking for a certain character and then realized like what also drew me into the game is the great voice acting of all the characters that, like, and some of it's overused and some of it's hammy and cheesy, but there's a whole series of YouTube videos of the voice actors themselves playing as themselves, their character that they voice, and then meeting up, online, obviously they're playing, and so they're in voice chat, and they're like, oh wow, you sound exactly like Roadhog or whatever, and eventually the players realize that actually is the guy or the girl
is
voicing.
the voice actor playing. Yeah, those are awesome.
Bit of fun. They mess
Definitely check it out. There's a
All right.
whole world. Like when you get into it, there's a whole world. It's fun. It's nerdy.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
And I don't know how you don't whatever. Just follow Dave on the Twitters if you're curious, and Davidtron 5000. But mostly,
Yep.
you tweet mostly web stuff. So
I mostly do web stuff.
Official.
Getting into games, politics, of course, because that's dominating American culture right now. And so that's kind of me in a nutshell. So.
And then if you're into the web stuff, definitely listen to shoptalkshow.com is the podcast that Dave does with Mr. Chris Coyer. And
which Chris edits. Makes it sound good. Thank you, Chris.
Anything else that you want to throw to the billions of listeners?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much. And you can follow me. Hit me up. Try on Twitter. I'll give you my Blizzard ID. We can fight each other or try to match up. So let's do that. So.
All right.
All right.
Just since we're on, I'll end with this, but you can follow me on Twitter. I'm iChris on Twitter, and be sure to check out the Good Stuff Twitch page, twitch.tv/goodstuff_FM. We're trying to get up to 50 followers for this year, and it means